The race is on this evening as political candidates scramble to remove campaign materials from the streets with the September 17 removal deadline hours away from expiring. Our reporter Amoy Harriet drove through the corporate area today to see how the cleanup was unfolding.
It's September 17, exactly 14 days since the general election was held. And under the law, that means that today is the deadline for all campaign-related advertisements and paraphernalia to be removed from the streets. Now, it's going on 6 o'clock in the evening, and we're driving around the corporate area. And to our surprise, we're still seeing campaign posters from candidates of both major political parties erected on utility poles, on buildings. I mean, in one constituency, we saw at least 10 posters from the same candidate. Now, it's important to note that candidates have until 11:59 tonight to remove their posters from the streets. However, it is concerning that even after 2 weeks, we're still seeing this many posters in our communities. Our news team also drove through sections of St. James Wednesday afternoon. Up to 4 o'clock, these campaign posters were still on the streets. We sat down with the mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon, on Monday. He told us that at the time, about 60% of paraphernalia across the city had been cleared. For the other 40%, he expressed hope that efforts would be made by Wednesday to have them removed.
People like to see their space clear, and in the communities, for example, the members of the community, they often ask that we remove those signs. I'm a political representative. I've gone through the process. I removed my signs, and I'm encouraging those who have recently completed that process to do the same.
Of note, there are sanctions in place for failure to comply with the deadline. These include fines, prosecution, recovery of cleanup costs, and forfeiture of campaign deposits, which candidates made to the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ. LaFron Thompson is liaison officer at the Office of the Political Ombudsman at the ECJ.
There's also the requirement in law that they be issued with a certificate of compliance following the passage of an election and the submission of their required return, and also to state that they have been compliant with the electoral law. These are all things that are considered in the issuing of that certificate.
But there are calls for stricter penalties to be introduced. At the recent sitting of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation meeting, Mayor of Kingston, Andrew Swaby, hinted at the introduction of additional fees for delinquents. He noted that the municipal corporation had written to the general secretaries of both major political parties requesting they ensure timely removal of all paraphernalia.
I believe the time has come for us to review this arrangement. We should engage the political parties in a serious discussion about introducing a system whereby they provide a deposit or refundable bond to the KSAMC before erecting campaign signs and advertisement. This bond would be refunded if all materials are removed within a specific period following the elections. However, if the materials remain, the KSAMC should retain the funds to cover the cost of removal.
Now, with just about 4 hours to go until the deadline, and with heavy rainfall reported in some sections of the island throughout today, there are questions about whether the 11:59 deadline will be met. Now, CVM News will, of course, be on the ground throughout the course of the night, monitoring the cleanup process. Reporting from the streets of Kingston and St. Andrew, I am Amoy Harriet for CVM News.